This episode of Chewing the Fat is brought to you by the Secret Hub Studios in conjunction with netchannel2.com.
Good evening everyone, Chewing the Fat, episode 30, coming to you from Sydney, not Brisbane. And with us tonight we have Mr. Glenn Goodman. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Yes, I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Franco.
Good.
Going good. I'll tell you, the last 2 days up here, it's winter.
That's funny. It's funny you say that because Easter, the weather was absolutely beautiful, and same down here. It's been winter the last 2 days. It's been just like that, bang.
Yeah, just really cool. It's just, amazing how these things work. But anyway, that's how they work.
Yeah.
I was watching
Go on.
I was just going to say, I watched an interesting Q&A today.
Oh, is that the one with
George Pell
yes.
and the other guy, the other atheist dude?
The atheist. God, talk about opposite extremes of the same pole.
Well, obviously that's why they had him.
God, see, that's why I didn't want to listen to it, because either side would have infuriated me, so I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, no, I was interested just to see how that all sort of shaped up, and well, they both held it together. There was they didn't jump across the desk and punch each other.
I bet you backstage there would have been a few, finger pointing,
Yeah.
chest thumping,
Yeah, I don't know.
All this going on.
Yeah, but no, it was interesting. It's always, look, I don't mind a good religious debate.
Look, I don't mind any sort of debate, but sometimes because I'm so, how should I say, convinced that my view is right and everyone else is wrong, that I find it very hard to listen to the opposing argument, especially when you're arguing with a moron. So, you can have a different opinion, but you'd be wrong.
Look, I think that's the sort of way I pretty much run it as well. Is like I'm really much on no particular faith, but I think if you lead a good, clean life, that's all you can expect one to do.
Correct. Agree.
And,
Agree.
And then whatever happens at the end happens.
Oh, look, I don't. I have my own religious views. I think there is a God. However, I don't think he walks on water. There is a Jesus, and he did exist, and he was probably a really cool guy. But I don't think he fed people with 40 people with a piece of fish. Yeah.
So, because as you know, like the stories, they do get skewed over time.
Yes, of course they do. Look, we could have a 2-hour discussion about this, about Vatican I and Vatican II, and which bits they left out of the Bible, because the Catholic Church is the best marketing machine on the planet. So let's just leave it at that. Yes, Jesus did exist, that is true, but he didn't rise from the dead. He was a good guy, and he was crucified, and he shouldn't have been, but he didn't rise from the dead. So let's leave it at that.
All right. So, so what else have we got going? Chewing the Fat, episode 30, Eric.
Episode 30, up to 30. Speaking of rising from the dead, now just put my glasses on.
Are you going to show us how it's done?
Yeah. Just watch this. Watch this trick. Don't try this at home. The ugly side of online shopping. Now, I know your brother has a shop, right? So I'll be as sensitive as I possibly can. And I know that he's probably a little bit smarter and probably doesn't whinge like Jerry Harvey.
Oh, he's not whinging again, is he?
No, he's not whinging.
Are you serious?
Again. But this is all part of it. They're all whinging. So here it is. You're going to love this. Might be a strategy your brother might want to employ once you've read this. Shop owners are sick of people scoping their stores only to use information to buy cheaper products online. Now, we all do that, right?
Yeah.
And now, some bricks and mortar retailers are fighting back. Retailers, get this. This is not going to get you to come back to this store, right? Instead of offering good customer service and a friendly smile at a reasonable price, I want retailers to make money like the next bloke, and that's how you're going to get the customers to shop in your store. But now they're fighting back, and this is how they're fighting back. This is how they must have listened to the communist book on strategy. Retailers are charging people to try on shoes and clothing.
Oh, I've heard that. Yep.
That's just. I just say, you know what? I'm not paying you $2 to try on a pair of jeans. See you later.
Yeah. Look, I heard of this. didn't. Look, probably maybe because I'm coming from because my brother is in that, and I deal with the back end of his business. Look, I don't see that that's a bad thing. They're not actually getting charged. Well, they are if they don't buy.
That's what I mean.
So if they buy, they don't get charged.
Fair enough.
But I suppose, you do have to combat this online.
Yes, correct. You have to come up with something to combat the online stores, but I don't think that's it.
Possibly not. No. Look, how would I feel if I went in? Yeah, and I tried something on $2, didn't buy it. Yes, I don't think I'd like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like it. I understand why they're doing it, and it actually it'll probably keep away those people who weren't going to buy from your store anyway.
Yeah.
So I understand that. But I don't think that's the answer.
Look, it's a hard call. I think the answer, honestly, is. I think that at some stage, I think we've crossed this waters before, but at some stage, the rents have got to come down. Therefore, prices will come down.
Agree. The rents is the biggest problem, and you've got people like, Westfield and the like, to blame for that. And their rents are exorbitant, highest in the world. Very, very high. One of the highest in the world, if not the highest in the world.
And why is that? Like, is that just because we're not a big enough country?
I don't know. There's supply and demand. There's scarcity of property. They bought these places at exorbitant prices because they're in prime positions. Maybe it's the volume of places that are available. Maybe it's the size of our population. It's probably all of that. Our wages structure is a lot different to the United States, where their minimum wage is very, very low, and they work on a tip-based system.
Yeah.
Where people make the majority of 50% or more of their weekly wages or monthly wages in tips. So whereas in Australia the fixed wages are so high that you can get paid a lot of money for not being productive, and so there's got to be a balance in there somewhere. And I don't know if that's the right answer either, but it's in there, and they've just got to find a way. Now, this story goes on to say that the nation's peak retail industry group is aware of a few retailers in the ski boot business that apply a fitting charge, which is then subtracted from the final bill if the product is purchased. They're certainly at liberty to do this, and there's no rule stopping you, so there's no law against it. It's a decision for each retailer to make.
I suppose in Sydney, I think this is where it's all happening at the moment. I haven't heard of it up here. But if you band it around with all the ski shops in the area, well, then people either buy blind off online, or they come in and maybe spend something in your store. But maybe it's the customer service.
It is. I think if a lot of the time it is, you hear stories that. How many times have you and I said that no one minds paying a little bit more for the convenience because you're there. You don't have to make another trip. If they gave you good customer service and they weren't so rude half the time, then you would pay the extra $30 for a pair of jeans because it was a good experience.
Yeah.
Because look at the Apple stores. Their products are nearly twice the price of every other laptop out there, but what an experience when you go and buy an Apple product. The customer service is beyond, and that's what you're paying for. You can raise your prices if you give good customer service. No one's got a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I think clothing especially is in a difficult position.
Yeah, clothing is difficult, definitely. And a lot of it is the volume, the volume that people order. Retailers order from from China in this country might be a container as opposed to 10 containers in America, and obviously you're going to get a better deal if you buy 10 containers than if you'd bought one.
You can buy straight from China and have a shirt printed with your own logo, sent over and delivered to your doorstep cheaper. This is for you to wholesale, for you to resell.
Yeah.
So you can get this shirt, in bulk. I don't know what, 300, 400, 500 of them. Your logo delivered to your door cheaper than, and this is multicolored, cheaper than you can buy a blank white T-shirt.
Yes.
Here for.
That's right. That's That's the
That's the
amazing
problem.
thing about it. And at the same time, I also think that not everybody does this, but a lot of people will buy these white T-shirts from China, for example, for $2, and they'll sell them in the shop for $49.95.
Yeah.
You know, lower your
Yeah.
prices a little bit.
Mm.
You know, what service do I need to pick a white T-shirt? Why am I paying $49 for something that's more than likely to fall apart in the next 6 months anyway? So I just won't go back there.
But look, it is true that that the overseas T-shirts don't last as long. Like these shirts that I made up, I bought this Australian brand, and they last pretty well. They are good quality shirts.
Yeah, well, look, a lot of the time, the ones that you pay a little bit more at the wholesale level for do last longer. Definitely.
Yeah,
Now,
they're thicker and stuff.
now, it goes on to say here that, where is it, the bottom here? They've got a little thing. Oh, here you go. Mr. Zimmerman, must be the head of the Australian Retail Association. Mr. Zimmerman said that retailers were hurting from high employment costs, which is what we said, such as weekend penalty costs, expensive rent, there you go, in shopping malls. And they've thrown this in again. And the GST exemption on overseas purchases up to $1,000. I don't think that's an issue.
No.
I can understand the rents and the wages, but this $1,000 GST thing is not, you know
No.
what? By all means, put 10% on the stuff I'm buying from Amazon. It's still going to be 50% or more cheaper. You know, like for example, I always use the example of jogging shoes. My training shoes that I bought a year ago for $268, and the same brand is available from Amazon UK for £49.
Yeah,
Which is $75. You know, less than a third of the price. Now, so okay, add 10% to that. I'm happy to pay 10% on it. No big deal.
I think that's when the differences between the prices are more than the 10%. That's when people go on overseas. Like if you're going to buy a pair of jeans or whatever for $30, you're not really. If you can go down to the local store and get them for 33, you know, you're not going to worry about $3.
No, that's right. It's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal. But it's the massive price differences that I think that people are complaining about. You know, look, I'm happy to pay for it, depending on the item itself. Just say I was buying a suit, and they're $700. I'd have no problem spending an extra $100 somewhere else if the service was good. It's 100, you know.
Yeah. Well, $100. If you were to get, okay, so you're going to somewhere, you're getting fitted, you're getting a personal service, rather than just guessing your size and having it lumped over here from Taiwan or somewhere. So yeah, that's a personal service. That $100 would be well spent, in my opinion.
No more, you know, computers. Buy a quality product with a quality service that's attached to it and quality warranty and the store experience, for example, Apple, and you'll pay the extra $600 for your laptop. No problem. I've got no issue with that.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's things like the small items. I think is just as important. Like HDMI leads. You know, you buy them from China.
Yeah.
And that HDMI splitter box that I bought for $3 or $5 or whatever it was.
Well, I paid $150 at the Apple store, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So like when it comes to that massive amount of, like, obviously Eric's Apple one's going to be a lot better quality.
Well,
but
I don't know. Probably all made in China.
But then realistically, if mine was a bad quality, well then I can still buy 20 of them compared to Eric's one.
Yeah,
so
and you still would have only spent half of what I've spent.
Yeah, I could buy 20 of ones breaking down and to Eric's one. So look, at the end of the day, the small ones like HDMI leads, the splitters, Kim's just bought a leather Kobo case for $15 over here. They're like $55.
Yeah. iPhone cases are a classic case. Like my oldest, you know, she just loves getting different iPhone cases, you know, always dressing up a phone, you know, girls being girls, you know, different case for every day of the week. And, you know, and you go to the Apple store or a Telstra store or even those kiosks, you know, those little iPhone cases and kiosks in the middle of shopping centres. They're going from anywhere between $20 and $40, and you get them from eBay for $6.
Yeah.
So I told her, look, don't spend $40
No.
Don't spend $40 on one case. Go on eBay and buy 8 of them.
Yeah.
8 different ones.
So how much? What does she buy them on eBay for? $4.
$6.
GST $6.60.
Yeah, $6.60.
What?
And she's not
Over
even,
here?
yeah, exactly. So if she bought $40 worth of cases, so she got 8 cases, so she's paying $44, and she's getting 8 cases, as opposed to $40 and getting 1 case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all made in China.
Yeah. 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 That's right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know what the
think
answer is. I think they've got to come up with a strategy. And look, the final say on this is a lot of people are saying, these people are saying, look, don't close your bricks and mortar store down. Have an online store to supplement your bricks and mortar store. You know, tell people that come into your store to visit your website, put in their order, for example, and say, look, hey, Mr. Customer, nice to see you. If you need any help, I'm just over here. Our jeans are over there. That bin over there is on special, and we've got some new items over there. And if you see anything when you get home, go and have a look at our website. You can place your order and pick it up from store, or we can deliver it to you. You know?
Yeah.
That's service. That's service.
A good example of the supplementation there that Eric was talking about is, through the week I was looking at City Beach, and I was looking through their terms and conditions and their privacy policy, and also their return policy. Now, you buy through the store, the online store. You buy through the online store. You can, if you're not happy, you can take it back to a bricks and mortar store. Now, that's supplementing. I like that idea.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly right.
So look, I think if you can justify your pricing and you've got a product that is sellable and got a demand following it, well then I don't believe that that you have your supplementation going on. You would be right. You'd be right.
Yeah, I agree. You know, one feeds off the other. From your website, you can drive people to your store, and from your store, you can drive people to your website. And word of mouth, good customer service, easy access website, very usable interface. Get a good host that doesn't, crash your website just because you've got a sale on, all that. So do all the right things at the back end, on the virtual sense, and do all the right things at the back end in a physical sense. In other words, when people come into your store, say hello to them, smile, and don't make it look like they're intruding on your social life, David Jones.
Yeah, why do they get a bad rap? I've been hearing it's bad service from them for ages. I don't never go into the joint, but are they really that bad? Are they?
Look, they've got a reputation of their reputation is such that David Jones. You go in there, and the reputation is it's always been more expensive than everywhere else, and the girls that work there have got certain things embedded in certain parts of their body, and they run the other way. They don't like to serve you or anything like that. But that's sort of true. And they went through a phase probably 20 years ago where that was true, and then they got better, but now they're back to that. And I don't know why that is. But they're not as expensive as you think, because David Jones don't advertise this, but they do price match.
Yes, they do.
Right? So if you can find something at any store, doesn't matter what it is, and if they sell the same item or something very similar, they will match the price. So as far as the price of goods go, it's not an issue.
But what do you think of price matching though? Like, I had a situation through the week where I bought something, and the first place I went to was expensive. And I thought, geez, is this it? Is this what I've got to pay? Is this the price? And then, a week went past, and then I found somewhere cheaper.
Right.
And so anyway, I went
the same item?
Not exactly. This was the course.
Oh, yes, right. Okay.
So it was because I'm doing a course. I'm doing online study.
Right.
And so one vendor had probably a slightly different syllabus, or not a syllabus, but a slightly different way of delivering it. So textbook A as opposed to textbook B.
Right.
So same content, but different authors, say.
Right.
So The deer one, I went back to him and I said, look, I'm going to go with old mate over here because he was cheaper, blah, blah. Well, they sucked it out of me. They rang me. I said, well, why don't you want it? Why don't you want it? What's going on? And so I said, look, you're too expensive. By just about double. You're too expensive.
Yeah, right.
And plus these guys, you know, that they had something that I was more interested in that you didn't have. And he said, okay, well, we'll beat their price and we'll throw in some vouchers for your exams.
Right.
And I thought, well,
why didn't they just lower their price in the first place?
Exactly right. Now, when they first contacted me, they said to me, now what you want to do is normally $8,000.
Oh, bullshit.
And I went, wow. And he goes, but if you sign up before the end of the week, we've got a special on, and you can have it for $4,100. And I went,
that's a scam.
Right.
I reckon it's a scam. That's
yeah,
you know how you go into a retail store and they've got the tags that says $6,000 down to $2,000. It was never $6,000.
Because I said to him, I said, mate, I'm not interested in your special. I said, specials come and go.
That's right.
I said, if you want to get me business, that special will be on next week.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I said, don't worry about the special.
Yeah, it's about delivery. It's about tailoring the course to what you need rather than what they need. And this is what they forget. They think price is everything. It's not. As soon as you compete on price, you lose. It's not about price. It's about how do you want it? How do you like us to deliver it? Oh, you like it like that? We can do that.
So I ended up going with the second guys that I spoke to. They had the cheaper price, and I just said to him, I said, look, I'm not going to go with you, the dearer guys. I said, you should have come in more realistic at the start.
Yeah,
I said, I can't. Right. I said, I'm not going to reward. I didn't say it in so bluntly, but I'm not going to reward that behaviour.
Well, that's right. Because see, at the end of the day, when they come in at that price and they say, "Oh, we'll give you a special," you start thinking, how can I trust you?
Yeah.
That you're going to do the right thing down the track, and then you're going to start stinging me. Oh, we'll get him at the back end. You know, we got him cheaply at the front end by pretending it was on special. So when it come exam time, we're going to stick him.
Yeah. So what it was like, say, 5 subjects, and so then it was going to cost me $4,100 for 5 subjects.
Right.
Or 4 or 5 subjects.
Yeah.
The other mob, I could have access to the entire catalogue entire catalogue. That must have been 100 subjects.
Right.
Varying things I'm not even interested in, but the whole catalogue for 2 years, unlimited access, blah, 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 for 3,300.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, what a deal. I'm going to go there. Why wouldn't I?
That's right. Why wouldn't you? Plus, you do know that they get that from, I won't mention who you got it from. I know who you got it from, but I don't know if you want to make it known. But they get that from that provider, the wholesaler, a major corporation, for bugger all.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so when I went back to the first guys, he goes, all right. So they came from 4-1, they came down to 3-3.
Right.
And thrown in exam vouchers and said I could access their whole catalogue for 2 years. I said, you're too late.
You're too late.
Too late. I'm not interested now, man.
That's right.
I said,
it's just stupid. Just come up with that in the first place. See, what they were hoping for is that if he bites on $8,000, we're laughing. But if he doesn't, we'll give it to him for 3, and we're still laughing, but not as much.
Yeah, that's right.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, just to take a hint on how much my university cost me, right? $800. This is a decade, 20 years ago, right? It was $800 a subject. I did 34 subjects. Right, $27,000.
A lot of mamushka.
I put it through Hex.
Yeah.
Put it through Hex. Took me a long time to pay it off. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So when so 27,000, but you could have paid that off fast if
I chose to, yeah, of course. But see, the Hex system is a very good system. And I can't remember who brought it in, but it came in 1989. Who was in government then? I think that was a Labor government.
Bob.
I think it was Bob. I think it was one of Paul Keating's things. But it was a very good system because it made university accessible to a lot more people. Well, rewind. Prior to 1989, university was free. Completely free.
Yeah, right.
And unfortunately, when something is free, you don't appreciate it. A lot of people, they go to university and they're in there failing, and because there's no consequences to failing because you're not paying for it. And let me tell you, if you're paying for it, you're going to want to pass. because it will bite you on the ass when you leave the system and you've got this massive debt.
Yeah.
So they decided that no, people are going to pay for it, but they're going to pay for it in a way that's suitable. So they put in the HEX system, which means you pay for it once you start working, and it comes out of your pay, right? So you might pay down $3,000 or $4,000 a year, $50 a week. You barely notice it.
Is that out of your taxable income?
Yeah, out of your so just say you're earning $50,000 a year, right? And normally tax on that might be $6,000 a year. Well, I don't know the exact figure.
More than that.
It's more than that, unfortunately. But let's call it $6,000 a year.
Yeah. And
they'll think, okay, because you're earning over a certain amount, we'll take this much out in HEX, so they'll take an extra $3,000. So your total tax for the year will be $9,000, and your net wages will be lower by that amount, prorated over the 52 weeks.
But
so it makes it very affordable.
Is your HEX repayment pre or post tax dollar?
Post.
Right, so it's just like a loan repayment.
Yeah, it's a loan. It's like a loan. Yeah, they lower your net salary.
Right.
To pay for the HEX. But the good thing about it is that if you went and borrowed the money at a bank, you're subject to the vagaries of interest rate rises, right? So if you borrowed $50,000, one year at 6% and the following year at 17%, and you're paying off this student loan, you'd never pay the bloody thing off. HEX was the interest on the HEX was the CPI. So every year, the CPI, in some years, the CPI is 1.2%. So it's the cheapest loan you'll ever get. So as a result, a lot of people, not only did they start university, they actually finished it. So it was a good system. It made people appreciate that they're going to university, made it affordable, but they didn't take it for granted, because they knew if they did, because a 3-year degree is normally 30 subjects, just say. If you bludged around and you took your 10 years, right, you're effectively doing 90 subjects, times that by $800. Right? So you still have to pay for it.
So it's obviously more advantageous to let your HEX debt be repaid as little as possible.
Yeah, you just take it out of salary. At one point, they had a scheme that prior to June 30, they'd send you a statement saying, "This is your HEX debt." I think they sent it out in April or May. And if you pay this amount, like your HEX debt, just say is $20,000, and if you pay any lump sum repayments of $1,000 or more, you'd get a 15% discount, for example, right? So an $850 HEX debt, $1,000 HEX debt would come down to $850. So every year they had that incentive in order to sort of like bump up the budget or get more cash in, and you think, oh, you beauty, because now my HEX bill is going to go down by 15%, and on a $30,000 loan, 15% is $4,500. So it's not bad.
Now Apple's got the Taxman on their door as well.
Yes, they have. It's pretty funny.
How has this happened?
Well,
so the British government is under pressure to crack down on corporate tax dodging after it emerged that Apple paid just £10 million in tax in 2010, despite making an estimated £6 billion
in sales.
That's not
in sales.
Yeah.
Well, look, that's a problem that Google have been accused of this. I think they call it the Google tax scheme. They call it the what do they call it? They call it the Dutch sandwich or something. They call it, because they're all over the place. Well, that is true. Look, to be on a practical sense, if you do $6 billion a year or £6 billion a year in sales, and you a normal rate of return, at a bare minimum, your net profit should be 10% of that, right? So that's £600 million in profit at a bare minimum, and we know Apple's profit's going to be a lot more than that. It's probably closer to half of that, or 40% of that. And tax in Britain is about the same as Australia, so you would think that they should be paying between 3 and 400 million in tax, right? Pounds.
Yeah, right.
Instead of 10.
Yeah.
But what they forget to realise is that a lot of the technology is licensed and owned by subsidiaries out of the UK or Australia or even America at that stage. A lot of these companies set up, transfer the intellectual property to low tax domiciles like the British Virgin Islands,
Tanzania,
and where's the other one that they were sending to? Can't remember. It's in here somewhere, but one of them's the British Virgin Islands anyway. So what happens is, for example, if you sell a phone, let's call it $1,000, an iPad, right? $1,000. If you sell that in the UK for $1,000, the cost of that to bring that in, FOB, you know what that means, right? FOB.
Right. Yep. Right on board.
You bring that in, and FOB, it's let's call it 500. So that's 500. Yep. Your cost is 500. So your gross margin is $500. But then you've got to pay Apple a license fee because the intellectual property that's part of that iPad is this, that, and the other. You've got a head office management fee you've got to pay to Apple for helping you actually run the UK stores. You've got rent to pay and all this sort of stuff. So that brings it right down. And they purposely do this in order to minimise the profits in high tax areas. It's not illegal. It's just that governments don't like it.
But isn't it like this is the crazy thing? Like now you've got people out there like yourself and other people who are always looking to get their clients to pay them the minimal tax,
minimal legal amount of tax, and I don't think that's anything wrong with that.
No, but there is a law in the Tax Act that says that you can't do or you can't work out or you can't undertake or partake in any tax minimisation schemes. But
that's right.
If you're going around doing what a silly law. Like I know what it's getting at, but I mean, everyone wants to minimise their tax. So
yes, I think there's two words. There's avoidance, and there's tax avoidance and tax evasion. One of them is bad, and the other one is legal. But to me, they mean exactly the same thing. But in the Tax Act in Australia, one is worse than the other, and I can't remember which one it is. But the point is, I think the law, how it's worded in Australia, and I'm sure it's very similar elsewhere, is that if the primary purpose of entering into a transaction is to minimise tax, then it's caught under that provision, and you can be prosecuted. And the provision in Australia is called Part 4A.
Tax minimisation is when you legitimately arrange your tax affairs to reduce the amount of tax you pay. These arrangements comply with both the letter and the spirit of the law. I love the spirit of the law.
Yeah, the spirit.
However, investment schemes and legal structures that do not comply with the law are considered to be aggressive tax planning arrangements, referred to as tax schemes. A tax scheme is an artificial or contrived arrangement to avoid or defer tax obligations. Schemes often involve a series of complex transactions. They typically move funds through several entities, such as trusts, in order to avoid or minimise tax otherwise payable. Schemes may also evolve, distorting the way funds are being used to enable a taxpayer to claim deductions they are not entitled to.
Yeah. Well, look, a lot of people do that in every place, but even if the money was going back to America, then they've done nothing that's illegal if the money is actually going towards an actual service or product that's been provided, whether that be an intangible product like intellectual property, a service provided by head office, because head office still oversees all of the retail stores in everywhere all worldwide, and they've got to pay for that service and the products itself. So, unfortunately, if it's structured properly under the transfer pricing agreements that everyone's agreed to, if you follow these transfer pricing agreements, then you're not really doing anything wrong. It's just that it leaves a taste in the mouth of the tax authorities because they just want to hang on to more of it.
Well, have they left Paul Hogan alone yet?
No, not yet. The Department of Public Prosecutions have left him alone. They've decided that he hasn't got a case to answer. There's not enough evidence. But the tax office seem to think that no, we're going to keep going. So I don't know if the tax office knows something more than the Department of Public Prosecutions, but
I think it's a bit of whoever's investigating him at the tax office just doesn't want to lose face.
well, I think it also depends on who's in power. When you've got communists in power, it's about a class war. It's about the haves and have-nots. It's about taxing the rich so they stay overseas and never actually spend any money in Australia. They don't realise you kill the golden goose, there's nothing left. So the Liberals would have been happy to leave him alone.
Michael Williamson, he wants to be a have, but he's a have-not.
No, but he represents the have-nots and purports to be a have-not, but he's a massive have.
Yeah, but
he's
maybe
a
not so much.
massive have. And according to that article that you're about to read, he's got more than most.
$350,000 a year salary. So background. Michael Williamson is the Health Services Union National President. So we all know about the Health Union Services now.
Yeah, he resigned today.
Referred to hereinafter as the HSU. And he's resigned.
Yes, this afternoon here at 6 o'clock at Breaking Story. So this is showing now at about 9:30. His podcast started. So 3 hours ago he resigned because they were going to sack him.
Does that relieve him of any legal obligations?
No, God no. They can still charge him.
Right. So okay. So if he's charged with blah blah blah, so this would be a union would be like a private company.
I think they're supposed to be set up as a non-profit.
Right. So therefore, can he like say politicians? Is he able to lose his super and stuff like that? If he's
no, I don't think so.
So he was the.
Well, it depends. If they find against him and ask him to pay it all back, they might go after his super in a legal case in order to get the money back.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so 300. Can you believe he was on $350,000 a year? That is, before the recent rise in pay rates for the Prime Minister, must have been pretty close to what the Prime Minister was receiving.
Yes. Yes, and she probably is probably uses her money just as wisely, I would imagine.
So, yeah, he was spending $30,000 a month on a secret Black Centurion American Express card. Now, apparently, the Centurion Black American Express cards had an annual fee of $4,500.
Yes, correct.
What a joke. And so, can you imagine the people pushing the trolleys up and down the hospital corridors, slogging it out?
They'll be lucky to earn that in a month.
Yeah, to not even earn $30,000 a year, and he's spending that.
That's right. And here he's spending $30,000 a month, but he's not paying the bill. Someone else is footing the bill.
The HSU,
allegedly, in quote end quote.
Yes, and it's the guy pushing the trolley up and down the hospital corridor, allegedly paying the bill.
That's right. So. And the thing that I find amusing is that it was attached to his friend, Cheryl McMillan, who only works there 2 days a week. Now, let me tell you something about Black Centurion cards. They're invitation only.
Oh.
You can't apply for one. You can't ring up and say, "Can I have one of those?" Even if you had money to pay for the fee. It's $4,000 a year, not $4,400. It's $4,000 a year. You got to get invited, and you get a lot of benefits for getting that. The $4,000. There are a lot of benefits attached to that, so it effectively pays for itself if you use it properly. But
you don't have to go around going saying to people, "Do you know who I am?" You just show them the card, and they know who you are.
Pretty much. Now, for example, I'll tell you who's got a black card.
You needed one of them at Virgin, like the other week.
Should have flashed it.
Yeah. Maybe that would have got you anyway.
What is it? What was it? I lost my train of thought because I was reading something. Oh, that's right. PA was saying something. PA was saying something in the chat room.
Minimum spend per month as well.
Yeah, minimum spend per month. So you got whatever that is. I don't know what the figure is, but for example, the types of people that get the black card would be rock stars, presidents, that sort of thing, right? And the reason she would have got a black card is because she would have been putting all the HSU expenses on there. Now, the legitimate ones as well. So, for example, if HSU had a stationery bill or whatever, you'd quite easily rack up $30,000 a month in legitimate expenses. And that would be enough. So she might have had a green card, corporate green card, and American Express noticed, these people are spending a lot of money on the Amex, and they're paying it back, and they would have sort of looked at this over a 2 or 3 year period and going, there's no credit issues here because HSU always pays off their stuff. We'll send them an invitation to get a black card, right? So she's the purchasing officer. So she would have been the one in control of the credit card for HSU legitimate expenses. Fine, no problem. So she's decided that she's going to accept this invitation. Not that she earns super amounts of money. HSU would have got at this. And she's decided to give him a supplementary card that no one knew about. And he's gone off and spending, allegedly, quote, end quote.
Were these two on together?
No, I don't think so. I think she's a friend, because you know what the unions are like and the Labour pays. Like, they just hire their mates. So the worst thing about this, or one of the worst things about this, is that the frequent flyer points, the points that you would have gotten for using this card, would have been exorbitant. So every month, if he's spending 30,000, he would have got 45,000 points, right? For every 30,000, because you'll get a point and a half. Now, after 2 months, that is enough for a return trip, flat bed, to Hong Kong. After 2 months expenditure, right? So times that by 12, that's $45,000, 45,000 points a month times 12. It's over 500,000 points. That'd be enough to take 3 or 4 people around the world first class. Just from the points you would have got from the expenditure. Not including the points that the HSU would have given her for having the black card. That could be in the millions of points. So that's something they're going to have to look at too. Allegedly.
So, and also, these also would have tax implications, wouldn't they? Because apparently you're supposed to declare all your benefits you get from these laws.
No, well, the tax office lost that case. Tax office lost that case. A while ago, they had with all these frequent flyer schemes, where they say, if you had a Qantas club, and you flew a lot, and you got all these frequent flyer points for flying on Qantas, the tax office said, that free flight that you've just got every 6 months is income. So, and that's, and if you went to London, and that was normally a $5,000 ticket, you're going to have to pay tax on $5,000 on your marginal rate, whatever that might be, 30%, 40%. So that went to court, and they lost. And I'll tell you why they lost. Because you can't classify it as income, you can only classify it as a fringe benefit. Right. They didn't lose it because it was a fringe benefit. They lost it because under the Fringe Benefit Tax Act, which cannot be changed, is that a fringe benefit is a relationship between employee and employer, not employee and supplier.
Yeah, okay, right.
So
why can't they change that tax act?
Well, I think I don't know whether they've tried or not, but this case was a fair while ago, probably 10 years ago, and they had done nothing about changing the tax act because it's probably because they can't.
But why wouldn't they be able to?
I don't know why. Maybe it's just written into the tax act that that's what it is. That's the definition of fringe benefit cannot be changed.
LAW.
Yeah, I know, but then it's not fringe benefits tax. Then you have to rewrite the whole law based on just trying to get, because it's not a fringe benefit anymore. If it's between a supplier and an employee, then suddenly you're taxing third-party arrangements. And you think, Jesus, how much could you imagine what stink that would cause?
But at the end of the day, who cares? Like, good on them. If people are going to fly around the world, and they're obviously working hard.
Well, that's right, exactly. But see, that's the whole thing. If you're going to start, if the government's going to start getting their envy hat on and going, it's not fair. Well, so hang on, they're working their ass off. They don't see their families because they're flying all around the world. What do you care?
Yeah, that's right. Good luck to them, I reckon.
Yeah.
Should be more.
So there it is. There. What's his name? PA's put a link up on the what's
In
called
the
chat
lounge.
room, in the lounge of what the Centurion card is. So there you go.
The Centurion card. So, wikipedia.org/wiki/Centurion_card.
There you go.
I'll just Google the damn thing.
Just Google it. Just Google Centurion card and it'll give up a Wikipedia link on that. So he's now resigned as of today, and I'm waiting for this to play out because I can't wait for Craig, quote Brothel, end quote Thompson to get this over and done with.
Yeah. So you don't think that this guy has taken some heat off of Craig? You think it's still all about to explode?
Oh, yeah, it's still going to happen. But you notice I was listening and reading during the week that you notice that when everything starts to get a bit hot in the kitchen for this government, that they start coming up with diversions. You know, bringing up things.
They all do.
They all do. Things like, oh, we need a second airport in Sydney. I'm like, hang on a minute. It's not your call, dude. That's Barry O'Farrell's call. And you've got Albanese, who can't even say millionaire, saying, oh, second airport, and oh, we're going to lose this, that, and the other, and all this sort of stuff. And it's just such a diversion to take away from what's going on. It's just, no one's falling for it because no one's listening, so which is good.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares. They just want it over and done with, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Now,
They just want this pig to bleed out.
that's right. That's right. Put some lipstick on it. Still a pig. Now, last story. Titanic is now a children's ride. Is this too soon? Now, I'm going to show you a graphic here. This is pretty funny. This is those children's slides that the bouncy castles and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to have this in my backyard. Have a look at this. Look at that. That is hilarious.
That's pretty good.
That's a Titanic ride. It's a pic for the audio listeners. You have to get the video for this. It's the Titanic that's on an angle, so it looks like it's sinking. And you go up to the top of it and you slide down it, and you go past the mast and everything. It's pretty funny.
That's funny. And then it's blue at the bottom for the water, obviously.
That's right. That's right. So now and there's a few other things that you can go to the show notes, and there's a few other things that.
Builders why this is so relevant is because I think it's today, the 12th of April, it left on its maiden voyage and sunk on the 15th of April. Something
That's
like
right.
that?
That's right. It's 100 years since that all happened, and they're celebrating 100 years of the Titanic.
So this inflatable toy, Builders Australia's largest inflatable slide, 10 metres high.
That's nice.
Rubbery replica of the ship. Children climb the sloped sinking keel and then slide down the ship's deck into the ocean, complete with iceberg. The ride was one of the amusements at the Oak Bank Racing Carnival in South Australia over the Easter long weekend.
I was sort of hoping it was up at the Gold Coast or something.
No, it wasn't up here.
That'd be so good.
So is it too soon?
No. Too soon. It's been 100 years.
Yeah, it's 3 generations in there.
Oh, about probably 4 by the age of the old bag that died, according to the movie. There's a T-shirt here that they're selling too. Have a look at this. There you go.
Oh, hang on.
Breaking up is hard to do. It's a picture of the Titanic in half.
Good work.
Yeah,
Good work.
Now, and the last one is the where is it? Titanic. There we go. There you go. Gin and Titanic. That's their drink. There you go. That's pretty funny.
Oh, and they got a little Titanic boat in the glass.
In the glass, yeah. That's
I see what it's saying. Yeah, the little. Yeah.
Very clever. So go to the show notes. There's a link there. You can click on the link, and there's things you can buy.
Where do we find the show notes?
Where do we find the show notes? I don't list it on your site, do you? No, we don't list Chewing the Fat. I'm going to do something about that. I haven't got a website for Chewing the Fat.
That's why I asked. I thought, does Eric do show notes?
All right, well, show notes. We'll whistle for it. Everyone? Just flick me an email, eric@netchannel2.com, and I'll email them to you.
There you go, if
There
you can.
you go. I'll have to get a website happening. Sorry about that. I've tried to get chewingthefat.com, but it's taken.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. And it's what there's chewingthefat.info. It says, no, we're not going to get that. That's poxy.
What about Net? No, you got Net Channel.
Got Net Channel, but it'd be nice to have Chewing the Fat, wouldn't it? Really?
You could have Chewing the Fat .net channel.
Yeah.
.com.
Well, a bit long.
Yeah.
Bit long.
Yeah. CTF would be taken, I guess. CTF.com.
CTF, I think it is. CTF.com. What about lyingcow.com? I reckon that's still there.
Probably is.
Oh dear. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Alright, good stuff. See you all, guys. Thank you for listening.
This episode of Chewing the Fat is brought to you by the Secret Hub Studios in conjunction with netchannel2.com.
Ciao, ciao.